Good morning, everyone. As children head back to the classroom, the pandemic has left many suffering from a learning loss. In the School Matters series, Elise Preston has tips on what parents and teachers can do to close that learning gap.
Ready, set, count.
Chris Sanchez teaches kindergarten in LA.
We've been working with math tools.
Many of his students this year missed preschool last year because of the pandemic.
If there is a topic they don't understand or know, it's really great to address it in the moment, have them repeat it, and then they learn it.
A study this summer of more than 5 million U.S. public school students finds lower levels of achievement last year compared to a typical year, with an 8 to 12 point decline in math, a 3 to 6 point decline in reading. The data also shows achievement is lower for all student groups, but students of color and/or those experiencing poverty are disproportionately impacted.
Education experts say there are ways to close the learning gap and help your children thrive.
A lot of students are going to need some significant help, while some kids are ready to continue at grade level or beyond. So my recommendation for parents, wherever your child is on that spectrum, try to supplement with other things.
Sal Khan is the founder and CEO of Khan Academy. The nonprofit offers free educational lessons online and free tutoring.
20 minutes a day, doesn't have to be some huge intervention.
It's math time.
Chris Sanchez is trying to creatively incorporate things his students might not have learned last year.
I think kindergarten is such a huge, pivotal year for students.
He knows he is helping them get the foundation for the rest of their educational journey. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Sal Khan also discourages keeping a struggling student back a grade because of the impact it may have on the child's social development. He prefers to make every effort to get the child up to speed. Well, aside from college students coming back to school and clearing out shelves, or stores rather, shelves have been pretty full recently. And that's a big difference from last year, if you can remember, when panic buying left many of those same shelves bare. Our Desmond Matthews talks to customers and a store manager about the differences they've seen in the last year.
Come in, get what you need, and leave. That's how most trips to the grocery store go. For many customers, that wasn't the case last year.
You couldn't hardly find any canned goods that you were really looking for, and tissue and paper towel, but everything seemed to be well stocked right now.
I know last year we come in the store looking for like tissue, paper towel, Lysol, and it was just hard to find the things that we needed. It's like the shelves were just empty no matter what store you went to.
Customers weren't the only ones dealing with these issues. John Kemp is the assistant store manager at Sunflower in Columbus. He says he's never seen anything like the shortages they had last year.
He struggled a little bit trying to get some of the product in, but it was, there was a lot of supply issues, and, just people were buying, things in mass, and they just couldn't keep up with production.
Fully stocked shelves like these were nearly non-existent last year due to backed up product or people just overbuying. But customers and Sunflower store managers feel that things won't be as extreme this year, and if they are, there is a plan.
Now with this Delta variant, it's coming back, a little bit stronger, they're saying, so now at least they're just not buying as much.
We're trying to do a little bit better job of keeping some key things in stock. Cleaning products, we bleach a lot of canned vegetables. We try to keep a lot of toilet tissue and toilet paper towels and stuff stocked.
Kemp says that since COVID numbers began rising again, he's seen more people coming in wearing masks. He's also seen some stocking up on supplies, but not enough to cause new shortages.
The supply issues have been a lot better. Trucks have been on time, and we just haven't experienced as many outages as we had. But it's still, some things are kind of out, but it's getting better every day.
In Columbus, Desmond Matthews, WCBI News.
Now, store managers do encourage you to continue buying what you need instead of buying in bulk, so there will be something left for your neighbors also. All right, a Colorado man says he regrets not getting the COVID-19 shot. The former fitness coach is now in a wheelchair and has a long recovery ahead of him. He's hoping his experience will convince others to roll up their sleeves and get vaccinated. Take a look.
These are all photos of Bill's COVID journey. I started taking pictures the very first day that he was in the emergency room.
Pictures are taken to remember our trips through life.
That guy is
pre-COVID Bill Phillips.
For Bill and Maria Phillips, these memories are difficult to look back on.
And this is Bill after COVID.
Her husband Bill, a former fitness coach, is leaving St. Anthony Hospital 70 pounds lighter after COVID-19 almost killed him.
Having to see Bill go from this person who's so strong and full of life and happy to this person that can barely stand up.
And it didn't help that I could bench press 300 pounds or run a mile straight up a hill. I made a mistake. I thought that since I had COVID in January of 2020, that I was immune to it.
A test found he had antibodies, so he decided to not get the vaccine. Then he caught COVID again this June. So sick the second time, he went to the ER.
I'm pretty sure the doctor said, you have two choices. We can either intubate him now or he's going to die on the table.
Now in a wheelchair after 2 months in the hospital, Bill and Maria are on a journey they didn't plan for.
I think that if Bill knew everything, the trauma, the pain that I was going to have to go through every day for the last 2 months, seeing him so sick.
I did that to her. That's my responsibility.
I think he would have gotten vaccinated if he would have known how much pain it was going to cause.
But I did that to you, and I apologize.
If he had a chance to do it again, he'd do it differently.
That mistake came that close to cost me my life.
Getting so sick like this is so preventable. You know, most people who are vaccinated are not going to end up in this situation.
Get the shot, get the vaccine, get on with your life. Don't take chances.
They hope their painful memory will stop others from going down this path too.
I'm here, we made it. Well.
Now, Bill is 56 years old. He was released from the hospital earlier this week. He plans to get the COVID-19 vaccine, he says, on his birthday next month. His wife also had COVID last year, but she decided to get the shot when Bill was in the ICU. Well, state health leaders are expressing optimism at the growing number of Mississippians who are finally getting vaccinated. According to the Department of Health, more than 81,000 people got shots last week. That's close to 53,000 of those were first doses. Pharmacist Ken Cito is seeing the increase at Family Pharmacy in Columbus. He told us there's been a 60% increase in vaccinations during the past 3 weeks.
The biggest reason right now, we've seen a big spike in the number of cases and also the number of deaths that has occurred. And if you follow the obituaries, we see a lot of people in their 30s and 40s that have died from COVID right now.
1.1 million Mississippians are now fully vaccinated. That's about 38% of the population. However, close to 46% have gotten at least one dose of the vaccine. So more companies have started requiring employees to be vaccinated against COVID-19, and the new rule is even showing up in job postings. The surging Delta variant and recent approval of the Pfizer vaccine could grow that new trend even more. Here's Elise Preston again.
Bonanno Concepts is serving up something new at its restaurants in Colorado. The company is requiring all employees be vaccinated by September 30th and says almost all of them have agreed.
We have had 20% of our non-vaccinated employees, almost 20%, sign up to get vaccinated within 24 hours of us rolling out this policy.
A growing number of major corporations, from United Airlines to Google, are mandating the COVID-19 shot for certain workers, and many companies want the same for new employees. Indeed.com says job postings requiring vaccination are up 90% in August compared to July. While that's less than 1% of listings, Indeed economist Anne Elizabeth Kunkel says it's meaningful.
This may potentially be the start of a trend that really takes off.
Vaccine mandates on new applicants are growing fastest in fields like marketing, software development, education, and sales. And it appears many workers are on board.
A Gallup poll finds 52% of employees are in favor of vaccine mandates, 38% are against them, and 10% say they're neutral. Mandates could be attractive to job seekers, too.
Having everybody be vaccinated certainly alleviates, that question of, is this the right job for me?
Conkle expects more new jobs will make the move, especially following FDA approval of the Pfizer vaccine.
Employers may feel a lot more comfortable requiring vaccination.
Economists say getting public health back to normal is ultimately good for business. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
And some employers are offering incentives to get the COVID-19 shot. Intel is reportedly offering workers $250. Vanguard Group will pay $1,000 for proof of vaccination. All right, coming up, Sesame Street is trying to help children handle the stress of going back to school. We'll preview a new series of videos and books when we come back. A new study finds people who exercise in the evening might be getting more bang for their buck. Bradley Blackburn explains.
Wade Alexander is in the gym 6 times a week, lifting, pressing, and squeezing in his exercise at night.
I tend to go late in the evening between 10 p.m. and midnight. Some of my friends think I'm a little crazy. They're already in bed by the time that I'm just checking into the gym and getting started.
A late-night gym schedule works for this busy father of 2, but a new study suggests evening exercise may also have extra benefits for your health.
It might be beneficial to put your exercise session later in the day.
Dr. Trina Molholt led a study in Norway closely monitoring blood glucose levels of overweight men on a high-fat diet. Study participants did 5 days of high-intensity interval training. Some exercised at 6:30 in the morning and others at 6:30 at night.
So it really changed the blood chemistry here.
Yeah, it did. Only the evening exercise group reduced their LDL cholesterol after these days.
The study found both morning and night exercise improved fitness and oxygen uptake, but only evening exercise lowered cholesterol and lowered overnight glucose levels, which could help burn fat.
The researchers say they need to test their findings with women too, but they stress if you can't exercise at night, this is not an excuse to skip the gym.
Alexander agrees there are no shortcuts.
It's discipline. I mean, you have to want it.
The benefits from either morning or evening workouts are worth it. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Well, just as children have begun heading back to school, Sesame Street has launched a new collaboration with the meditation app Headspace to help children handle stress. As Diane King Hall reports, a special guest stopped by CBS this morning to tell the viewers all about it.
Really nervous? Oh my goodness, I get nervous.
On CBS this morning, our furry friend Grover admitted being on live television makes him nervous, but he found taking deep belly breaths helps him relax.
You breathe in through your nose and go, and then you let it all out. Oh.
Grover stopped by because Sesame Workshop has teamed up with the meditation app Headspace to create a series of monster meditation videos and books and a new podcast called Good Night World to help kids deal with stress.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Grover?
Yes, Andy?
I think you're doing too many things at once. How about we start with one thing? A monster meditation.
Monster Meta-Wawa? Count 1, 2, then 2!
Education experts say kids often don't have the language yet to describe their emotions, so it's important for parents to help them express their feelings.
Don't say, oh, you're going to be fine. That doesn't help children. You want children to understand that I'm having a big feeling and I'm going to call it frustration or disappointment or worry or nervousness. And then help them figure out, well, how can we make this big feeling feel better?
Grover also had a tip that helps him fall asleep.
Let's all watch a cute little soap bubble. Let's all imagine it floating up into the air.
Tips and tricks for children that may also help their parents relax. Diane King Hall, CBS News, New York.
Studies have shown that adequate sleep helps children with their overall health, their concentration, and their ability to learn. And I'll just say the same goes for me, too. I like to get my sleep. All right, coming up, she's setting off on the trip of a lifetime, a 32,000-mile journey around the world by herself. That story when we come back. We're back. He remains one of the most well-known gangsters in history, but for his family, he was a loving father and grandfather. Now many family heirlooms are up for sale. Take a look.
That shows Al Capone in business and in family.
The most notorious American gangster and infamous Alcatraz inmate, rough around the edges, but a soft spot for beautiful things and family.
From your dad, Al. XXXX.
Now, some of Al Capone's most prized possessions for all to see and own, including his favorite gun, a Colt 45 automatic dubbed Sweetheart, a diamond monogrammed watch worth about 50 grand, and family photos.
These items have been in the family since the 20s, and if anything happened to us, no one would know the stories that go with these items.
Capone's oldest living granddaughter, Diane, worried these pieces of history would go up in flames.
This is the second summer we've had our suitcases packed in case we were going to be evacuated. And we knew that there's no way we could save these things that belong to our grandparents.
Preserving history and also determined to set the record straight on who she remembers as Pawpaw, now putting Capone's letter from Alcatraz to his son, her father, up for sale.
If you think you know Al Capone, once you read that letter, it will change your notion of him. Just a loving father to a loving son.
Over and over again, he refers to my dad as son of my heart. That's not the language, or those are not the words of a man who is hard-hearted. Those are the words of a man who is a very devoted father. And that's the part of the story that we wanted to tell.
All right, now to this. A teenage girl from Belgium is on a high-flying adventure to break a world record, but flying into the history books is just part of this young pilot's mission, as Ian Lee tells us from London.
Zara Rutherford's dream is finally taking off. The 19-year-old is on her way to becoming the youngest woman to fly around the world solo, and it doesn't stop there.
And when you think of a pilot, you don't really think of a woman, you think more of a man. And I'm trying to change that a little bit. I'm trying to get girls to, be interested in flying in aviation.
She left Belgium Wednesday in her light sport plane. You could almost say she was born to do this.
My entire family are pilots. My dad is a pilot, my mum is a pilot, even my little brother's a pilot. So it's really, in the family.
Her journey will cover 5 continents and 52 countries in just a few months, all the while her nervous but supportive parents will track her progress.
Very aware of the risk, but I think she needs to fly away. It's her dream and she needs to live it.
For Zara, it's not just about landing in the history books, but leveling the airfield.
Hopefully inspire other girls to try and beat my record and then start competing with the boys.
To show girls everywhere, the sky is the limit. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
All right, now the current female record holder for flying solo around the world is a 30-year-old Afghan refugee from Florida, while the men's record is held by an 18-year-old from Britain. Coming up, for more than 50 years, he was the beat behind the Rolling Stones. A look at the life and career of Charlie Watts when Mid-Morning returns. This morning, we remember Charlie Watts, the legendary Rolling Stones drummer who stayed out of the spotlight that followed the band everywhere. Watts died Tuesday at a hospital in London several weeks after an unspecified medical procedure. He was 80 years old. Mick Jagger honored his bandmate of nearly 6 days, tweeting a photo of Watts with a big smile. Keith Richards posted an empty drum set with a sign that read, "Closed." Here's a look back at Watts' brilliant career.
In a band known for its brash personality, Charlie Watts was its quiet backbone. For more than half a century, his steady beat anchored the Rolling Stones, which he formed alongside Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Bill Wyman, and the late Brian Jones. Watts spoke to 60 Minutes' Ed Bradley in 1994.
And I always consider myself a drummer, and so that's to keep the time and help everybody else do what they do, I don't really like solo type things.
His drumming skills self-taught by listening to jazz greats like Charlie Parker and Duke Ellington.
Just one of the faults in my playing, is I never learned to play.
The Stones had searched for a drummer for months before finding Watts and feared he might be too talented for them. But he ended up playing on all 30 Rolling Stones albums and on every tour. Despite his sharp fashion sense, he shied away from flashy drum solos and the attention that came with international superstardom. Watts defied all the stereotypes that came with being in arguably the world's most influential rock band. While Jagger and Richards mugged for the camera, he was shy and introverted. As drugs ravaged the era's bands, including the Stones, Watts indulged but then quit cold turkey. He married his wife Shirley in 1964, and they stayed together and raised a family. Watts' passing comes about 3 weeks after he pulled out of the band's upcoming tour, citing health reasons.
I knew he was ill, but I didn't know it was this ill.
Beatles legend Paul McCartney paid tribute in this video message.
Condolences to the Stones. This will be a huge blow to them because Charlie was a rock man, a fantastic drummer.
Anthony Mason, CBS News.
And we'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, pickleball players have a new place to play the popular sport in Tupelo. The city of Tupelo unveiled its pickleball courts yesterday afternoon in Mill Village, or actually it was Tuesday afternoon. The city updated the basketball courts in Mill Village so they can also act as pickleball courts. Try to say that 3 times. The sport has grown in popularity in recent years throughout the region, and in Tupelo, where pickleball leagues have been formed, Tupelo Mayor Todd Jordan tried his hand at the game.
Brought me back to the old amateur tennis days. I thought the court would be a little small for me, but playing doubles is plenty good size, big enough, and it was a pretty good experience.
Okay, the score is now 1.
Now the pickleball courts are at Old Mill Town Park in historic Mill Village. All right, be sure you stay connected with us. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you back here next time. Enjoy your day.